So as the school year wrapped up, we know everyone is exhausted and burnt out. So we're here to provide you with some inspiration and motivation for navigating the summer months with your kids. We have our resident trainer, restorative practice trainer, Brandy Taylor, and our parent lead, Nicole Sims. They're here to talk with you today about restorative things you can do with your kids to continue to build strong relationships and navigate these challenging times throughout the summer. Nicole has her daughter at home and also a granddaughter that she helps care for. And Brandy has her son at home and also a grown daughter. Nicole also has a grown daughter as well too. So they get it and they've been there. So they are here to talk from experience. And like I said, we're really excited to make this interactive. So please be sure to use the chat or interact with us during the open time at the end. So without further ado, here is Brandy Taylor.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad you were able to jump on. We're trying a different time today. I can't even remember the time. I just know it was earlier in the day last time. So we figured we may be able to capture more people in the evening after dinner or something like that. So again, thank you for taking out the time to join us. And today's topic is sowing the seed. There was like a tidbit of a video that was shared on Facebook, and I don't think it was shared on Instagram, but on Facebook. And what it is kind of like a little teaser that we put out, and then we have these kind of dialogues. So we had one prior to this, and this is the second one, sowing the seed. And in that video, if you've seen it, I talked about having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she and I we've probably been knowing each other less than a year, and she was talking about a breakup or something like that, and I went into my restorative practice bag, and I started talking about, how she needed to think about herself and be mindful of understanding behaviors and things like that, and how typically behaviors are not reflective of you, but of something that is deep down inside of someone else. And so she's looking at me and she's, listening and everything. And she kind of stopped me midway. And she said, so, Brandy, I'm not trying to be smart or anything, but you have all this great advice and you're always giving people tips and things. And you're talking about all this restorative practices, but why don't you use them yourself? Like, why don't you use it on yourself? And I said, I do. I said, I oftentimes am using the tools. I may not just say, look, I'm being restorative, but a lot of times I'm using these tools and you're just not aware of them, simply because probably because you don't know what they are, her in particular. But because I'm just now meeting her within the last year, she had no idea the type of person that I was before. And so I went into how I have to be I do a lot of self-talk, and I have to remind myself, especially when dealing with my my older child too, but with my children, on how I need to stay in a certain position, in a certain box. And so for the people who have been with me for some time and understand what restorative practices is, they understand what I mean when I say staying in the with box, which is being more restorative as opposed to punitive, permissive, or neglectful. And so I told her that it was a constant thing that I had to do. And then I ended that conversation that was like a past conversation. And then I brought it to where I received a cash app from my daughter. If any of you are familiar, my daughter is 22 years old. Like Jamie mentioned, Amy, I have an adult child, and then I have an 8-year-old child. And so I was 25 when I had my daughter. I was 39 when I had my son. So I parented two different ways. And so when I received this cash app from my daughter, if you're familiar, it has like a 4 in it, and it said, because I love you. And so I went on to say that it was a time when my daughter's relationship was horrible. And just never in a million years would I have thought that she was just on her own, not just, I was very grateful for the money, but just the fact that she was showing a gesture, and that she was saying, because I love you, that meant that we had came a long way. And that's what I meant about staying consistent in the things that I was saying to the new friend that I had. And it was in regards to sowing seeds. And so in my trainings, I talk about, there's a portion when it begins and it asks the participants to reflect on different little sayings. And one of the sayings is, we plant the seeds that we may never see grow. And so that's what I immediately thought about when my daughter sent me this Cash App, because I was like, whew, like, this is 22 years and I never thought that we would be at a point, because it's always been a struggle for us to be in a good place. And so all those days I thought she wasn't listening to me, and all the times that I felt like I'm probably her worst enemy, and all the times that I wanted to give up, it was, this is the reason why we sow the seeds. And that's one of the that was one of my favorite things out of those sayings that are part of the training. Out of the 5 or 6 reflections, this is my favorite: sowing the seeds that, or planting the seeds that you may never see grow. Because the chances are, and oftentimes I say this to teachers, the chances are you're saying things to your children, or they're saying things to the students that they're like, they're not getting it. Oh my goodness, like, I'm talking my head off. They're turning around, they're doing the exact same thing. When will they change? When will this behavior change? But you just have to continue to do those things, because even if you never see the change, it's still a possibility that it will happen. So you don't do it with the change to be immediate. You do it with the hopes that it will one day happen. So even with not being able to, sometimes you will, sometimes. And that's what I was thankful for in regards to, sharing the story about my daughter, because, look, I'm looking at this over these years, she has since done other things that have like blown me away. And it's all because I continued, even losing faith, because like I said, I was 25 years old when I had her, and I was multiple years before I actually started changing my parenting behavior. And so I was figuring it would take a very, very long time for her to get how I changed, because she sees the difference in how I raise my son. And she could be like a tad bit, was a tad bit envious of my change, because she felt like I was really, really hard on her. So, saying things to her and explaining to her the reason why I changed is part of sowing those seeds. And so before I move into the 3 tips to try to help encourage everyone to remember to sow those seeds, and before I move on, I want to say a couple of things. One, I am talking about your children right now, but every time I'm in a restorative conversation, I'm talking about with everyone that you come in contact with. Sometimes you need to sow seeds with your coworkers. Sometimes you need to sow seeds with your family members, your adult family members. Sometimes you need to sow seeds with your neighbors, because everyone is, can be in a different place. So whatever gem you have, you can continue to sow in them. So I wanted to say that, although I am being specific right now to your children, because we're probably going to go back into a whole shutdown. We're out for for a moment, but we're probably getting ready to go back in. So hopefully you're listening and like using these tools when we have to be on lockdown again. But I wanted to give Nicole a chance to share if she had, before I went into the 3 tips to help you, remind you to sow seeds.
To share what I have.
Something. I just didn't want to.
No, I just totally agree. I'm following you, and I'm grateful for the reminders. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, like I said, being restorative, you'll hear me say it 1,000 times. It's not easy, but it's definitely rewarding. It's challenging. You will get a lot of pushback from your family members, from your friends, because they're not understanding a different way. A lot of us are punitive, and we don't understand giving children a voice or a choice. And so in that, you will get a lot of pushback. So I just want to encourage you guys to keep the faith and to try the tips and the tools that I share. So the first tip of for sowing seeds is you have to have a level of vulnerability. So I know that working with the populations that I'm often with, and it started with youth some time ago, there is no way that you can expect anyone to open up to you or to kind of trust you without having a level of vulnerability. And at that point, you're able to share with them your stories or, your change and things like that. If you are a person who continues to keep up your barriers, but you're expecting for a change in children or whomever it is, then there has to be like an exchange of vulnerability. And that's the first piece. And vulnerability simply means that you're trusting the most valuable things or most valuable situations with people. You're putting what you prize into someone else's hands. If in a level of vulnerability could just simply be me telling a story about my daughter. I'm putting this situation in your hands, not knowing if you'll get on another social platform and just be like, I don't even care about our daughter and she went about that the wrong way. That's a level of vulnerability because I know that it could go, all the way to the left, but I'm putting myself out there, to share those type things. And so whenever you're dealing with trying to build relationships and being able for people to trust you, and you have to have a certain level of vulnerability. And the second piece is patience. So I know for sure that when on our last video that we have, our last discussion, I talked about patience. Like it's almost impossible to do a lot of these things without it. And that is one of my areas that I need to absolutely work on. I move really fast. I talk really fast. And so I kind of expect my children to move as fast as I move. I expect people that are around me to move as fast as I do. So I have to constantly work on my patience. And patience will help you trust the process. So what I mean is there was a time when my daughter was still in high school and I was almost on. And so Amy, because I don't think Nicole worked at A plus then, but so many employees of A plus that helped me through those days. Like I was on the verge of like breaking completely down. And every now and again, I would hear that voice again, like, she'll be okay. She's going to be okay. She's going to be okay. And it would bring me back. Right. So it would level me out, that patience. It would give me enough to be able to trust the process, that even though it didn't look like a win at the time, that at some point she would come around. So that's what patience kind of brings you back to. If I continue to talk, if I continue to stick. Now, here's what I want to say too. I am saying that you need to sow seeds, but there has to be a level of accountability too, because you can't just do a whole lot of talking and not necessarily hold your children accountable. So it's like a nurturing piece, and there's also a limit setting and a boundary piece. So, patience will help you at that point. And then my favorite piece to this is the self-check. So once I became like really engulfed in restorative practices, I had to remind myself that I didn't want to be one of those people that just always was talking about, what this, do that, and not the person who actually walked it. So oftentimes I'm doing self-check about my motives, and, even down to something as simple as lending money. Am I doing this because I care, or am I doing this because I want somebody to say, okay, I lend the money? I'm always doing a self-check to make sure that my reasoning is my motives are good, they're pure. And so when you are sowing seeds, you want to do a self-check and the reason why. And, and making sure that it's not about you, the reason why you're sowing these seeds. And so I, in kind of preparing for this, I made a note to say that It can be both. And the example that I gave is I sow seeds with my daughter constantly in regards to being financially responsible. But it's not just, it's a lot because I want her to be able to manage money, because she's 22 years old. But it's also because I don't want her to continue to ask me for money. So there is two pieces to it, and it's not necessarily a selfish piece, but it is like, okay, let me check my motives, because it could simply be, and this is the honest to goodness truth, and there are people out here like that. It could be that I'm trying to make sure that she's financially stable so she can take care of me when I get older. There are people that have motives like that. Like I see her saying, like it, like believe it or not, like this exists, and so you have to check yourself constantly and make sure that you're in not the right frame of mind, but in a positive frame, where it's stemming from, what you're sowing and what you're sharing. And so those are the three tips that I have in regards to how to stay focused on sowing those seeds, no matter how tough it gets. And even if you may not get the chance to see it, know that it's a possibility that later on in life it'll happen. Vulnerability, patience, and self-checking. And again, it's beyond your children. It is a whole lot to do with how you interact with a lot of people that are surrounding you. Your siblings. We tend to mistreat those people that are closest to us worse, because we feel like they can take it. And so you want to put those things in place for them as well.
Thanks, Brandy. So we're going to pass it off to Nicole to connect those 3 tips that Brandy just gave us to also some resources we know about for the summer as you are trying to navigate this. And like we said, not completely lose it while you're cooped up with your kids. So Nicole.
Yep. All right. So thanks, Brandy, and thanks all of you ladies for joining us this evening. Those were some really good tips that Brandy gave. And like I said, I kind of already been through all of the restorative practice training. So they even serve as great reminders for me, because it's easy to kind of fluctuate between being restorative and not so much. And when we first talked about doing this, we were saying, like, what should we call it? And I was like, let's call it, here's how we figure out how we're going to manage, because we got ish to do. And so we didn't call it that, but that's basically what I had in mind whenever I was like preparing for these resources, because the kids are out of school, they're at home, or as Brandy mentioned, we may be going into another, lockdown where they're going to be surrounding us. And so we got to figure out a way to keep our sanity and doing that and all of that stuff. So as a mom, like Amy said, with this 12-year-old at home, and sometimes I have my 9-year-old granddaughter, we know that there are limited options for them over the summer. I was hoping and praying that the pools would open and all that stuff, and they haven't. So we thought it would be a good idea just to let you moms know, what are our resources? What can we find, for our kids to do, so that they have some choice, that they can continue to learn and that they can have fun, all while, trying to be safe. Yes, Shay, thank you. The spray parks are open, and that's part of my little spiel here. So thank you, Shay. And so the first thing, along with Brandy talking about restorative practices, what also comes to mind is part of those practices is fair process, right? And so fair process, I feel like that's a way for me to help keep that those tips, like for me to be vulnerable and for me to show patience, is for me to have a fair process with my kids. And the 3 parts of fair process have to do with engagement, which means involving, your children in the process of making the decisions. The other part of fair process, or another part, is explanation. It's okay for us to explain to our kids why we are making the decisions that we're making, instead of that old school, because I said so. You know what I mean? That's not okay anymore. And then the third part of fair process has to do with expectations and making sure that whatever you all decide on as a group, those expectations are clear. Everybody knows what their roles are, and you can go from there. So what that could look like, fair process, could be that we do a restorative practice circle around what activities we're going to have our kids get involved in. I know personally, I'm taking a bit of a back seat because I think everybody on here knows me and Krista, and we are all like she does so much. Sometimes I feel bad for her, but I also know I have to keep her busy, and I'm planting those seeds, right, that she's going to need academically and otherwise for the rest of her life. So I have to find some kind of balance. And so I haven't really incorporated a lot of fair process yet, but doing this and putting these thoughts together is reminding me to do so. That could also look like for your family, hey, let's circle up and talk about what vacation is going to look like. Some people want to go to a beach. Some people don't. Some people want to just, hang out at home. So you can have a circle and try to come up with a shared idea that everybody can agree upon. That's considered fair process. Yeah. So you want to again set those so set those expectations. And what I'm thinking, like for Krista, even and for Marley, is okay. My expectation is that some of what you're going to do this summer is going to be academic. You have to continue your tutoring sessions. You have to do, something engaging at school while they're posting different activities and stuff for you online, and then make room for all of the other fun stuff that she wants to do. So we're going to use a fair process to come up with some balance there, which is going to help me keep my sanity. And then for all of you moms, I took a look at some of the things that we have that will help us to find activities for our kids. And believe it or not, there are still some places that are doing like in-person camps and things like that. And whether or not we individually would like to use that as an option is up to us. But I think it's a good idea to know where to find that information. And so the bridgeforsummer.org is, thank you, Amy, you quick.
Look at you.
Is your like one-stop shop for resources and information, right? On there, they have a program finder where you can actually locate summer programs. It also, of course, talks about, year-round programs if those resume. There are not only details about the programs, but that Summer Bridge website will take you directly to the sites where you can see contact information, applications, things like that. Some examples where they had Sarah Hines House, which has an on-site camp and is doing some kind of meal distribution over the summer. It also lists Carnegie Library's stuff and different activities they'll be doing, including some contests and things like that. As Shay mentioned, it lists the spray parks and all of, where they're located, their times, all that kind of stuff. For anyone that has children that are a little bit older, it lists the information about Learn and Earn. It lists applications for that. And, for any of your kids that are between 14 and 21 years old. So there's there was so much stuff on there. I was kind of getting sidetracked just looking at everything. So when you get a chance, take a look at that. And then a couple more things to check out. Don't forget about A+ Schools and our Teen Block page. Whether you have kids that are of age or other kids, it's for 8th grade and up. I know Sharon, you might want to check it out for Caleb. I'm going to get Krista involved. But Teen Block is involved in a summer writing workshop, and which starts, I think, coming up really soon, right, Amy?
The writing workshop actually ended. Our next thing is the Youth Organizing Academy, which will have different.
Oh, it ended already. Okay,
yeah,
so yeah.
But there's more coming up. So I just put Krista's email in the chat. So if anyone wants to get their kid involved, she'll let them know of all of our upcoming opportunities.
Awesome, thank you. And again, Teen Block has a Facebook page. And then Amy mentioned the Youth Organizing Academy, which is in August, and Krista's going to be part of that. It's for 8th grade and up. There's a Kidsburg link. They had so much cool stuff, I couldn't even really keep track of it. And the Kidsburg link is really good because it also lists different donation drives and things like that. So for food, or if anybody is giving away different things. I know they listed the diaper drive. They listed today was I think one of the first ones where they're doing like an immunization drive where kids can get like school supplies in conjunction with that. So there's more of those. Check out the kids website. And then within Bridge to Summer, there's also the Trying Together link where you can find anything from summer programs to like just childcare options, right? Because people still have to go to work and things like that. So you may still need childcare. And I like that too because it allows you to search for things that are near you. There's Allegheny County Parks information where it talks about trails. I was thinking that might be something that we could do as a family. So it not only lists kids resources, but all kind of stuff we can do together as family. There's community food bank links on there. There's actually a finder where you can find community food banks within your area that will be distributing food over the summer. And then lastly, we talked about A+ schools. Don't forget to, if you haven't already followed us on Facebook or Instagram, please do so, because between the three of us and Gita also, we're always uploading and sharing resources and information to keep you all in the loop. And also don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. I know I'm connected with all of you via Facebook or email or whatever, or send, other people that you know of that are in search of resources and information. Please send them my way as well.
So thank you, Nicole.
Flexible. I forgot about Flexible. Can you mention that, please, Amy?
Yeah, sorry, real quick there. Flexible, they normally do childcare for organizations, but they are offering virtual mini camps. So that's a link to something, and another resource and activity to have in your back pocket to help keep the kids busy. So,
yep.
Thank you.
I think that was all I had. I'll also be sharing this information in Pittsburgh Brown Mamas too. I know there's a couple of ladies in here from there, Leah, Shay. So I'll be sharing that there too. Thanks, ladies.
So thank you. Thank you both. Yep. I wanted to ask a quick question if anyone would like to respond. So we do these, I guess we're going for like every month, and so we had things planned in person, and then we got hit with this, and so this is why we moved to the virtual version. But my question is, because what we were doing was talking about what we felt like we needed to talk about at the time, because we went into quarantine and we knew that parents would be stressed, and then we wanted to keep the flow of being restorative. So if anyone wants to give any feedback on what they would like to hear more about in regards to either your children or the restorative piece, by all means you can let us know now if you want to speak out. I mean, you can always email us or something too, but if you have something on your mind now that we could kind of focus on for our next month, we'd be glad to take that. Anyone?
Or even too, if you want to add how you plan to use some of the information that you got today, because that helps us think of what to build off of as well too. So I know it says Eli Durham, but I don't think that's, Nicole kept saying a different name. So
that's Shay. That's Shay.
Shay. So Shay, Shay's been sharing some things in the chat around what her and her family are doing and how she's going to put it to use. She said about circling up for the activities they do every 2 weeks to get the kids' input. How else is anyone else planning to use it, so we can know how else to build off of this?
And so keep in mind that this restorative, the things that we're speaking about, is what they are doing in schools as well. So it's a great thing to be able to have the same kind of verbiage, same dialogue, same language that they're using in school, and the same tools at home. So when we say circle up at home, it's not that you have to sit in this corny circle, right? We do sit in a circle, but we really just mean that we want your family to be part of your discussion. It's not like we're just planning this trip, because we know that we will impose something that's fun for us on our kids. Like, I'm going to Vegas, you find a park there. I don't know who, but and when you include your children, then they'll enjoy themselves. You'll enjoy yourself as well, because everyone has had a say in it. So that's what we mean by having the circle up talks. Yes.
If you want to type it in, Leah, I'll read it out loud for the recording too.
Mm-hmm.
She's typing. Anyone that's watching the recording, please hold.
Yep. Our patience was the
What's your tip?
we are patient.
It's for moms with children.
Yes.
We've got many on the line, so and they don't have a lot of space.
Mm-hmm.
Or a yard or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Very relatable. These moms are struggling to keep
their sanity.
Their children occupied.
Moms, are struggling to keep their children occupied and engaged.
Yeah. Let me put your finger up when you're done typing. When you're finished.
Mm-hmm. Leah said the spray parks are nice, but some don't feel safe. How can we help?
So I'm thinking that this takes a very a lot of creativity, period. And I know that a lot of structure. So I believe that the school is out for everyone now. So it's a lot of in-home activity. So I don't have a lot of space either. And, I have that little small patio. But things that me and my son did all year round is like, of course, because I like to paint. And so we did a lot of arts and crafts things that keep us occupied. And I just took the cards back, but I had those cards that I talked about maybe a few videos ago, and it's called Our Moments and How to Build Relationships. And we do the cards often. Like, it's conversation starters, is specific to children. And so just a good way to have dialogue, movie nights. But see, if they're not getting out at all, these things are going to become, redundant, because it's only so much you can do. And even if they were taking our kids outside, they would get tired of going to a certain park, because there's only so much you can do. So it's just a matter of being as creative as possible. If you can't, if they're not comfortable with being around other people, you just want to put your thinking cap on. And some people aren't that creative, they're not good with thinking out of the box. So they should probably lean on their friends that are, or whenever you see someone struggling, you can offer the ideas. Like Nicole gave she gave really great examples of how, giving her children a voice. Fair process is what it's called. And that's what you would have to do for the parents that, are just like, I have no idea what to do. I'm just done. We've already ate all the popcorn. We watched 95 movies. It's just going to happen. So, okay. All right. Well, let's try. James had a really good idea that I didn't think about, walk the neighborhood together as a family. Right. And so let me say this. Prior to this, I probably wasn't even trying to walk the neighborhood. But all of that becomes the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm not into, that's why when you guys tuned in, I was like, I fixed up my patio. I'm not even an outdoor person, but now that I can't really do stuff, I have to make that little sliver of block worth me going outside. So all of those things are what you have to be creative with, pointing out the things that you wouldn't typically see on those nature type walks, as she said. And you really and truly, you really need to prepare your children for the fact that it is going to be redundant. Listen, we're going to be in it's going to be trying. We're going to get sick of each other. So when you do, let's just talk about it, give each other some space, maybe do something we hadn't done in a while. But that's the best we can do because we don't have any control. And I think a lot of front loading is helpful by
Mm-hmm.
preparing your children to, that we're in tight quarters, that we're used to being able to go out and we
Yeah.
can't. So this, the suggestion that Nicole gave is they should let their children tell them what they want to do since they know they can't go out. Like, so what in all of this time, in all of these 24 hours,
Right.
we're not going to start learning how to operate on each other or pull teeth. So, like, what can we do that's going to keep us out of lockup?
Yeah. If I could add to Leah, there was some amazing stuff on that Bridge to Summer website. There were virtual dance parties. I saw Carnegie Library doing some like coloring contests that you could enter your kids into. I loved Shay's idea about, just walking the neighborhood. And I think too, Leah, I had mentioned on our Brown Mama's little wind down thing where we were drinking and having fun, that one of the things that I've done that has been so great has been puzzles. That's something that we could do as a family. You could go outside. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but I would like, if I didn't have room in the house, you could spray the sidewalk, disinfect it or whatever, put a little blanket down and do a puzzle. Like, you got to get, like Brandy said, those moms are going to have to be extremely creative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, but that Bridge to Summer is full of stuff that you can do virtually. Sorry, Amy.
No, I was just gonna add on to what you were saying too. Even if you can't always log, say if your kid's like, I don't want to log into this virtual camp or do this, that, even if you can check it out later and then just have those ideas they're sharing in the back pocket, or like Nicole said, to think of your go-tos any which way, like the library or after school programs your kids normally go to. Reach out to the staff there too. I know a lot of them are still working and have ideas. So just thinking of those go-tos as well. So
you might have to be vulnerable. You might have to break out your dance skills or something for one of those virtual dance parties. Just gotta go there, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was good full circle, Nicole. Way to bring it back to the first tip.
It's vulnerability.
Shay suggested Go Noodle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And a teacher told me today also about Khan Academy, that they have some fun stuff about like imaginary stuff about like building virtual roller coasters and all kind of like STEM stuff.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Leah, were you going to say something? She's typing.
They have a virtual summer camp.
Oh, yeah. And you know what I forgot? And James, what did James call it? Camp Kinda?
Oh, yeah.
Which is something out of New Orleans that's supposed to be really fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just Camp Kind.
Oh, I think it was kinda because he kept saying like it's kinda like a camp. We'll share all of these
kinda like a camp.
Yeah, we'll share all of these resources when we post the recording too, and keep an eye out for when we post it. So any new ideas you have, like how you were sharing as well, Shay, drop those in the comments when we share this, because there's going to be a lot of parents looking for the same resources like you guys are sharing right now. So if it's all right for the sake of time, I'm gonna kind of wrap it up. But we'll continue this conversation on our Facebook page. Like I said, keep an eye out for that. Also, thank you, Sharon.
Thank you,
thank
Sharon.
you all for joining us. There's 3 quick things. Don't log out yet. Before you log out, we just want to remind you you do not have to wait until the fall to say what is going on with school or here's what I need for my kid for school. You can always join the school board is still having their monthly public hearing. They're virtual now. I'm going to drop a link in the chat right now, and that's how you can watch the public hearings live. Nicole just checked it out on Monday, if I am remembering right.
Mhm.
And what they do, instead of you going to personally testify, you email your speech to this woman,
Mhm.
Laura Getty, and then they read it out loud at the public hearing. So your voice is still heard. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, please get your voice out to the school board. So they're factoring those in as they're deciding things for the fall. Also, strongly encourage, and you can reach out to us for this information, but contact your school board member directly. And so we have their email addresses and contact information. If you want to know who your school board member is and how to contact them, let us know. And the third and last thing for contacting people, reach out to your school's principal, share your suggestions, ask your questions. And Nicole always says, always say, like, how can I help? Or say, this is how I can help. We've talked about that and some other things as well too. So it's a partnership, and seeing
Yeah.
how we can make this work together in these very unusual times. So
Yep.
that's one thing I wanted to quickly share. The other thing was we have a survey. I'm going to share the link in that. It's like 4 quick, you share your name and stuff, and then it's 4 quick questions just to let us know how we did in this session and, what you might be looking for moving forward. So if you can take a quick minute to fill out that survey. And feel free, before you log out, to copy this chat, because there are a lot of amazing links in it. So, and resources in there. So you can just copy the whole chat and save that. I dropped mine, Nicole's, and Brandy's emails in there too. So don't hesitate to reach out, because we are here as a resource as well. Thanks all for joining us. Brandy,
Thank you
Nicole,
for
thank you
joining.
for sharing your personal experiences. We appreciate you all.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you, ladies.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.